Yo, what up? It's your boy Chris, and welcome to another episode of Theme Park Chat. This is the talk show where we talk about some of the latest things going on in the theme park industry. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I figure what I'm talking about today is probably a worthwhile topic. So, if you remember the Thrill Seekers Adventures video from a couple days ago at Hollywood Studios, you remember that I was supposed to go to a preview of Toy Story Land, where I got to check out the land a little bit, as well as ride Slinky Dog Dash. Didn't happen because of some technical issues, but I was allowed to come back at a later time during the weekend, and I took advantage of that yesterday. So, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Toy Story Land, as well as Slinky Dog Dash. Now, before we start, very, very important piece of information. They had a very strict no video, no photography, no Snapchatting, no live streaming, none of that stuff policy in the land. You walked in, you couldn't pull your phone out or anything. You got to look around, you got to ride. That's about it. So I don't have any footage of anything to show you, but I will share my thoughts as well as some descriptions of everything that happened. So if you want to remain completely spoiler free, probably shouldn't be watching this video, but if you want to know some interesting tidbits about Toy Story Land and about Slinky Dog Dash, it's probably worth your time. So, start off by the land. I got to walk through the land briefly. It wasn't finished. Most of it was blocked off, with the exception of the entrance of Slinky Dog Dash, but I got to see some little interesting tidbits here and there. First of all, the land is more impressive than you think it would be. I was expecting it to be this kind of little tiny dinky thing that wasn't really that interesting, and it turned out to be a lot nicer than I expected. There are lots of little details that I really appreciated in the land. Like when you're walking on the concrete, there were marks that looked like giant footprints, because it's supposed to be Andy's backyard, so it makes sense that there are giant footprints around. There was a bridge that passed over Slinky Dog Dash that was built out of like an erector's set. So, that was kind of cool. I like all the little toy references. They do a good job of making you feel like you're the size of an army man, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, there are the giant versions of the different toys. Like, you're greeted by Woody, who talks to you as you enter Toy Story Land. In, like, the middle of the Slinky Dog Dash track, there's a giant Rex and a giant Jessie. They talk every now and again. The land looked good. I was pretty impressed by how good the land looked. It was not disappointing. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be like this really small kind of dinky land. And I'd say, like, honestly, just based on what I saw, it feels at least as roomy, if not slightly roomier than Pandora. The big difference, though, is Pandora, most of the land is taken up by the giant show building for Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey. For Toy Story Land, there's no show building, because Slinky Dog Dash is all around the whole land, and then Alien Swirling Saucers kind of is its own thing, and then Toy Story. So it feels fairly open, it feels fairly roomy. There's a good amount of stuff in there. Obviously, I didn't get to see all of it. From what I saw, it looked good. It looks really nice. Yeah, so I was pretty impressed overall by how Toy Story Land looked. Now, let's talk about Slinky Dog Dash. First off, you have to go in knowing what to expect. Slinky Dog Dash is a family coaster. It's designed for, families. So don't expect anything to be super thrilling. And to me, honestly, it exceeded those expectations. I thought it was really enjoyable. Thrill level, I would put it kind of not quite as intense as something like a Big Thunder Mountain, but it's more intense than something like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Kind of in between those two. It has some pretty good moments. There's a couple pretty steep hills. The launches are fun. They're very, like, kind of gradual launches. It's not like Rock and Roller Coaster where you just get blasted. There's two launches. One at the very beginning of the ride, and then one towards the middle, which is more of like a display show kind of piece. But both were fun. The theming is decent. It's obviously not as good as Seven Dwarfs Mine Train because there's no dark ride portion to it. It's just a coaster. But, you know, you're going through Toy Story Land, you're seeing all these different props. You do get a really nice view of the construction of Galaxy's Edge, so I'm sure when Toy Story Land opens, if you want really nice views of how everything is looking in Galaxy's Edge, ride Slinky Dog Dash. That's a great way to see it all. But overall, it's a pretty fun ride. The seats are really comfortable, which is something to say as a bigger person. The seats are really nice. Like, there's plenty of legroom. They're not super tiny seats. Like, an adult can fit comfortably in the seats. They're also individual lap bars. Kind of similar to Everest, but a little bit different. So, overall, I would say Slinky Dog Dash is a pretty solid roller coaster. There are some little details that I really appreciated, like Slinky actually talks to you during the ride. Like, he'll make some commentary on things. The second launch, when you go through like the little launch tunnel that has a countdown, it feels like you're like coiling backwards a little bit and then it launches you. I thought that was a cool little effect. It's just a solid roller coaster. It's not a top tier attraction, which a lot of people were hoping or expecting to really like turn Hollywood Studios around, but it's a solid coaster. I enjoyed it. I will gladly go back and ride it again. I'm not going to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours for it. I'd be willing to wait probably 30 to 45 minutes, honestly. But it's a lot of fun. So if you are a roller coaster fan, and especially if your little ones are roller coaster fans and they want to ride something that's, you know, moderate thrills but not over the top too crazy, Slinky Dog Dash is a really good entry. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the theming is fun. One last thing I wanted to talk about before we end our theme park chat is the new entrance of Toy Story Mania. I thought looked really good. One thing I did notice, though, is they, I guess, without even really saying much, officially changed the name of the ride. It is called Toy Story Mania, not Toy Story Midway Mania like it was originally. The sign doesn't say Midway on it anymore. That's kind of interesting. The entrance looks really interesting. And I'm very curious to see how it all works out when the new entrance opens. Obviously, the ride didn't really change, but the entrance and the exit were reworked so that you enter and exit back into Toy Story Land. So the entrance looks good. It kind of looks like you're walking through a play set. So the same kind of theme applies, but it's a little bit modified to fit Toy Story Land. One last thing I want to talk about, I forgot about it when I was talking about Slinky Dog. At the very end of the ride, there's this cool little moment, kind of like the cottage at Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, where as you're pulling, right before you pull into the station, you see Wheezy from Toy Story 2. He's singing "You Got a Friend in Me." It's an animatronic. He's pretty cool. It's a nice little touch that really, you know, gives it a lot more of a Disney feel than just a standard coaster. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool thing. I was hoping he would like talk to you, like maybe scan the magic band and be like, "Oh, hey, Chris, how's it going?" or something like that. Like, that would be even cooler. But I thought overall it was pretty solid. So anyway, those are my thoughts on my brief preview of Toy Story Land and of Slinky Dog Dash. Of course, we're going to have plenty more coverage of Toy Story Land as it opens later this month. Probably next month because this month's crazy. And I might be going to another preview, maybe. And if that happens, of course, I will share even more information on Theme Park Chat for those who are interested. So, thank you for watching this episode of Theme Park Chat. I hopefully will be doing more of these more frequently because I haven't done many. I think this is the second episode I've done, so hopefully that will change soon. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to follow us on Twitter at ThrillSeekersYT if you want to get all the latest theme park news from us, as well as information on when you can expect new videos. That's going to do it. See you next time. Bye.